Hi, I'm Phineas Cromwell.
And I'm Lucas M. Buford. And this is Antiford on Air for March 2015. So, first off, we have our new members. Most of these are from TempleCon, actually.
Actually, all three of them are from TempleCon.
Oh.
We have Olivia Annette Adams.
Mm-hmm.
We have Louis Tahit, I believe that's how it's pronounced, and Marcus Epiel Madigan. And we want to welcome you. Thank you for joining. We look forward to seeing what you write.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. Next, do we have any updates to the website?
Yes, we do. We have a few things. The notable ones being that the encyclopedia page for Time now has a handy-dandy back-and-forth converter.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I think it's very handy for...
It's great for when you're writing to go from the real world to Orrian time, and for when you're reading stories, if you need help to go from Orrian back to the real world.
Yeah.
Yep. So, very cool. We also have a new library item type for world building. It's separate from blogs, separate from stories. You know, it's for creating new things, perhaps stuff that you intend to kind of propose for encyclopedia-ness.
Very nice. So, we're continuing. This is a kind of a part 2 from last month's.
Yep. We had a tour of Orr, and we're going to continue our introduction to the world of Orr, where Antiford resides.
Yes. So, I guess the first place to start is where we kind of are in our solar system.
Mm-hmm.
We have our sun, or our star that our planet orbits, is called Demetrius, and there are 4 known celestial bodies.
The planets.
The 4 planets that orbit, and they are Ethar, or our planet, Nethar, and Nor. Additionally, Orr has 2 moons, Adele and Lilith. Lilith is the larger of the 2 moons, and they have a kind of odd lunar cycle where 2 months, or 2 months in Earth time is 1 month in Orrian time, and that's caused because an Earth month is 1 lunar cycle, 1 moon, and since we have 2, we have 2 moons.
Right. Yep. And they cross paths, so it's when they get back to the other side, which is when the new month is.
Yes. And there is some interesting mythology that
Yep.
All of the mythology.
Yep. Most of the celestial bodies and the days of the week, etc., for time are based off of the old Peorian pantheon of gods. So we have the days of the week. We have Mo-Day, which is your Monday. We have Tamaris Day, CL Day, Reese Day. Then we have the weekend, starting with your Friday, Demi Day. Then we have Mel Day and Lie Day.
Well, since we have 1 month to every 2, the Orrian year is 6 months long. Starting off with Mogs, which is January, February.
Yep.
Followed by Phi, Furch, Skia, Demibur, and Gornuary.
And these months kind of inhabit the seasons of Dodar, which would be the winter. There's Aderford, which is the springtime. In Ku, they celebrate the beginning of Antiford with a big picking of the early Antiford berries, and they make pies. Oh, it's delicious. And then we get into the warm summer season, which is Orrian. And
really warm in Antiford.
Yes. Well, Antiford doesn't pay much attention to these seasons being.
Oh no, I guess they wouldn't.
Yeah, it's Orrian all the time. And then we have the harvest season, the autumn, the fall, which is Andrond. Yep.
So that kind of covers the
time.
Yeah, how we measure time. Minutes, seconds, hours. They're pretty much the same as the Earth times. So moving forward from that, since we're giving a better idea of how this world of ours works, we come into different types of measurements.
Right.
Which we're talking about time. Now, how about other measurements?
Right. So hopefully you're familiar with the metric system, the measurement used in all science and almost all countries except for the U.S. and Burma.
Burma, I believe Vietnam also. Like, there are some Southeast Asian countries that still use it.
Excuse me if I don't remember the other name for Burma.
And there's also the imperial system. The imperial system is the older system. It has, in my opinion, a lot of fun words and names that you can throw around, like rods and chains and all that, which makes for very interesting writing and conversation, where you can ramble off
20,000 leagues under the sea.
Oh yeah,
right. So
in Antiford, there is a slow conversion to the metric system.
Right, the technocracy, being a very science engineering minded group, is trying to move forward with the easier mathematical system, the metric system. But it's still much more common.
It's still much more common to use the imperial system, particularly and with water distribution, because all of the systems are already in place, all of the standards are already in place, and it's proving to be difficult across the board.
Hard to convert the old water merchants to use the new system.
Yeah, I get it. So,
and then I guess if you're going to travel to these countries, you're going to have to know a little bit about the currency.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, in Antiford, the primary currency is the Cian, and there's also a smaller, denomination.
Yeah.
That is the Simo. This currency was originally backed by water and silver, but is now operating on a fiat system.
And it's important to note here that although gold is a valuable commodity in the real world, it's less valuable than silver on ore. So most of the currencies were backed by things like silver, as opposed to gold. So I guess we'll move on to our southern neighbor, the Prussian Confederacy and such. They use the imperial mark, which is backed by land.
A very interesting system. The amount of marks you possess, in a sense, literally translates to how much land you possess.
Yeah,
and it's very interesting how that all operates.
It's a little like the nation itself. It's a little unstable.
Then we move across the water, across the Fimbrian Ocean, and we get to Clurusia. Clurusia's currency is called the Talon, and that is also that is backed by silver. They have not converted to a fiat system.
Right. Now, the Kuvian currency, the Rona, used to be backed by silver and is now a fiat system. Rona is both the singular and plural of it, so you have many Rona.
And then Clarusia's, I guess, kind of other neighbor, in a sense.
Well, the Grand Empire.
The Grand Empire of Canterbury has the rupee.
Hopefully, you are a new member of the site, interested in creating a character, getting your bearings on this world that you're living in now. But perhaps you're just a traveler.
Or even from our world, and you want to travel elsewhere.
Right. Well, you should know about the infamous wells of Well Island. And all the
Scary, strange things that happen.
Yeah.
So, Well Island is a series, well, I guess how it starts off is it was originally an asteroid that had impacted.
Right.
And brought these portals, these wells. And these wells appear as small pools of like a milky water, very still. It looks
Eerily still.
Yes, lots of fog, and a lot of tree cover and other plant life.
Yep. So the wells of Well Island, much like the island itself, they shift and move about. They move quite slowly, but
Very slowly.
yes, but they move enough that it might be misplaced by the time you look for it again, just a bit.
We're talking about maybe centimeters
Right.
a week. Like, it's slow moving.
Oh, much slower.
Yes, very slow moving. But if you are a traveler from our world, going into another world, and you haven't gone somewhere in 2 years, it could be hard to keep track of. Maybe they move faster. Still, some move faster than others. It's all a wonky
It's a
system.
strange, mysterious place.
Some move inches per week, some move...
From one side to the other.
It's weird.
Yeah, strange.
Unless you're very, very good at navigating them, I would suggest. You know, like well pirates.
Right.
They're generally pretty good about these kinds of things.
Yeah, well, pirates, the characters who go and kind of have fun and pilfer and such. Yep. So, you might be wondering, all this strange traffic between our universe and other universes through this interdimensional portal known as a well. How does that not...
the wells are so small. What about like an airship or something like a Cthulhu?
Right. We travel... The travel is through a well on our side, but the travel might be some strange instantaneous device on your side. So, how does that work for larger things like an interdimensionally traveling airship?
Well, they become encased in a glass bottle. It's not really a bottle.
And it's not really... It's kind of the same glass that the well is made of as well. It's not quite glass.
The well is watery. Like, you kind of get wet when you go in.
Right.
But the minerals in the water, when you transport through, solidify into a glass. And the ship is not shrunk, or whatever is coming through that is abnormally powerful is not shrunk.
It appears as a ship in a bottle.
Oh yes,
no
it looks
doubt.
just like a ship in a bottle. You can have a whole rack of them and it looks like a ship in a bottle. But the ship itself is actually a three-dimensional representation of the vessel, or whatever's traveling through, trapped in a fourth-dimensional space.
Right. It's kind of like a little bit of your universe stuck inside this little bottle.
Yes. Now, these bottles seem to degrade slower.
Much
slower than normal.
Right.
And if you break them open...
you've lost... You may have lost your ship. Absolutely. Yeah.
You may keep your ship too. Like something might pop out.
One never really knows with wells. Now we mentioned the degrading, how the bottles seem to degrade much slower, although you really do have to throw them back to get them back in your universe. You, yourself, you must travel back within an Orrian month. That's 2 real months, Earthen months. And the reason for this is there's something known as traveler's disease or traveler's sickness.
Or well sickness.
Or well sickness, something to the effect of. And what's happening is on a quantum level, our universe is strange. It vibrates differently from any other known universes. And so your matter and our matter are exotic to each other. One cannot live in the other's universe for much more than an Orrian month. Or one degrades and kind of disintegrates at the smallest level. And you start to feel sick and you basically fall apart.
Usually after half to 3/4 of the Orrian month, you begin to exhibit the symptoms. And then after a full Orrian month, you're not doing too well. And then usually after about the month and a half
you're
certainly
dead.
You're dead.
Yes.
And this also happens for those of us who decide to travel through one of the wells to somewhere else.
Right, they're exotic to each other.
So we begin to degrade.
Right.
Now, it's non-cumulative, so you can come back,
right,
or you can go back to your original role,
right,
and you will become better.
As long as you give yourself the time to recuperate, enough time to revert to
and it's usually like 2 to 3 times the length that you were here.
You need quite some time of rest to get back. It's strange, and it's definitely a case of don't drink the water.
The food still operates the same way.
Oh, I'm sure. It's just the food degrades the same way, and it's exotic to you. It's not
going to get the nutrition, though. The body is quite good at doing that.
Yes,
because obviously you couldn't survive for a month.
Right.
60 days without eating.
Right, but it doesn't help well sickness. One guesses that you might be able to survive a little bit longer with food of your own universe, but
if the food survives long enough, because
we've never tested it.
It's not worth testing.
It's difficult.
Yeah. It's hard to travel.
Honestly,
it's hard to travel with 60 days worth of food.
Yeah. Honestly, it's not worth most people's bothering traveling through the wells because of this. However, we've had some very interesting expeditions out.
Many. We've had many very interesting expeditions, and we do encourage people to to visit.
It makes a great time. It makes a great, interesting time. A good story, especially that one man who rode the. Well, we'll
get to that later. Yeah.
So hopefully you've learned plenty about the world of Orr, and you can either come visit or come live as a character. Mm-hmm.